All right, let's get another question. In the back, red.
I wanted to ask. I read somewhere that you guys reworked the story, the pilot and the first storyboard a couple times. About how many times did you pitch to the first episode till it got picked up?
Entirety, and I'm imagining.
Yeah. I mean, we repeat maybe 3 or 4 times. The show wouldn't have gotten picked up if it wasn't for Fred Siebert. He's an executive who picked up the Adventure Time pilot originally. He was working with Nickelodeon. Anyway, he's like just such an awesome executive atom bomb. And when he promotes things so well, I think that's why it was picked up. Because I was just like a lumpy dude who like shaggy hair, and I was just like, and sitting in a boardroom with executives who were trying to trust millions of dollars into my project, and I'm just like, ugh. And like, I'll work really hard on it. That's all I can say. But Fred, he always wears like this white button-up shirt and white pants, white slacks. He's just like an executive angel. And he was supporting it, and they listened to Fred, I think, and enough to let us try it. I think we were just an experiment in the beginning, which is, I guess, is like, SpongeBob was a big experiment too, and it was that kind of an idea. Like we were what's another word for experiment? I don't know. Does that answer your question? What was it?
I just want to add a little bit something to that. There's an episode, I think, that you might be able to find the storyboard online, but it was called Brothers in Insomnia, and I was working on Chowder, and I knew Penn had gotten Adventure Time greenlit, so I basically would stalk Penn in the halls of Cartoon Network, and I ended up convincing Penn to hire me on the show. And one of the first things I did as a crew member was to go to a board pitch, which their pitch, Penn has all the storyboards on a screen like this, and he runs through the episode and pitches it. And it was for an episode called Brothers in Insomnia, where Jake shrinks down real small, and Finn just kind of is, the whole episode is just his fingers, and they fight a monster inside of a tree. And it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I just remember going up to Penn afterwards and saying to him, like, this is the best cartoon I think I've ever seen. I can't believe that that you're making this, and this is just awesome. And then later in the day, I came by and was like, oh man, did the executives love it? And you were like, they hated it, and we have to redo everything. So just to kind of give you guys an example of it's gotten better. I think it actually has gotten better, but there's crazy amounts of reworking and things that you think are awesome. Someone will find a problem with it, and you just kind of keep reworking, and you can't let that kind of thing ruin it for you. You just gotta keep going. And it worked out great.
Yeah, I think good advice for if you're starting out and you want to like be the creator of a show, or if you're pitching ideas, I think you need to get into the mindset of you're an idea maker and you just make ideas and you just churn them out, so that when it comes time to deal with you're like pitching this idea that you worked on for 3 months and then it gets shut down and you don't like blow up. You're just like, oh, okay, I'll do it again. I'll do it different. I'll try to plus it. Or like I'm always trying to listen to executive notes and give them the benefit of the doubt and really consider them and try to find how to make them good, because they'll give me. I'll try to think of a stupid note to give later when we think about it. But anyway, I think that's what you should do, is sort of to not explode, is to just like, I'll do it again, or I'll try it a different way, or I'll try to plus it. So just, I don't know.
All right, let's get another question. Behind the red shirted guy, there was a girl with her hand up.
I was just wondering, this is kind of a question for the entire panel. I was wondering about what your influences with animation are, and even with cartooning. Like, what material do you think has influenced you the most, or made you really go, wow, that's amazing, I want to see what I can do in something similar like that, and just basic inspirations, I guess.
So let's all answer that. Bob, go for it.
Yeah, sure. For me, it probably goes all the way back to the beginning of kind of, I guess, like 1920s, 1930s animation. I really like the Fleischer Brothers cartoons. It's really inspired my comics, but also even the way that I feel like when I figure out how to learn how to animate proper, like that's how I would want my characters to move. I mean, not always bopping up and down, but like I just like things that are kind of wiggly and kind of like, you know, transforming, and I think that's kind of inherent to the medium, or at least it's one of the things that definitely draws me to it. And I know, like, on the show, like, you guys do that a lot, and so I definitely see the influence there. But yeah, for me, it's like the Fleischer cartoons, and then I kind of travel up in time, and I catch things along the way that are cool. Like, stuff from the 50s is awesome, too, the 60s.
Michael.
Yeah, the Fleischer Brothers stuff had a similar effect on me. There's something I would watch a lot of, and it was the sort of thing that, because it always showed things like really crummy VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Like my mom would just like buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
And then most of my influences also just come from comics, and like Crazy Cat is a big one on me, and the horror comics of this guy Hideshi Hano, really cool. Yeah, that stuff.
And
David Lynch, I'm influenced by like how he makes things makes your stomach feel really queasy and uneasy, and then he scares you after he does that to you. I try to recreate that, but I can't. It's really difficult in animation to have a camera moving slowly for half an hour, and then like scare the hell out of you, because you know we're only making 11-minute long cartoons.
Fleischer for me too. Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry. I'm just gonna list a bunch of stuff. Ren and Stimpy, old 70s anime like where I grew up, they're called Force 5, but they're all these giant robot cartoons. Get a Robo, Grandizer. They're not animated very well, but I think they're amazing still.
I was really big into like Disney cartoons, like Silly Symphonies and early black and white stuff, and especially like Snow White and Pinocchio.
Pinocchio's awesome.
Pinocchio's so good.
One of the best films ever made.
It is.
They just put it back in the vault. You guys know about that?
I didn't buy it.
Disney just vault.
I need to go buy it. Oh my god.
Like 70 years.
Oh no.
Wait 5 years.
But with comics, it's like a lot of comics and stuff like Dungeon and Dungeon's amazing. Anything with like adventures in the forests, right? I'm a sucker for that. And I don't know if anyone here remembers Tales of the Green Forest. It's on the TV. Anything. People with shirts in the forest. I like it.
I guess my thing has always been sort of my friends, people around me. In college, Tom Herpick, who's an artist on Adventure Time, like he blew my mind every day. I had classes with him, and it was like, I didn't care what the teacher said. I would just kind of see what Tom was doing, and it would just be awesome. Who else? I worked on The Venture Brothers with Chris McCulloch, and he kind of introduced me. I got lucky. I got on that show kind of because I drew a better Corvette than the guy sitting to my left. And my Corvette was awful. My dad had one, so it kind of helped. But like he introduced me to like Dan Close and like kind of all this kind of stuff. And he sort of got me into indie comics. And then through that, I met Steven DeStefano, who has a book with Fangraphics right now, and called Lucky in Love. And he kind of became my mentor, and he kind of schooled me on Harvey Kurtzman and kind of classic cartooning. So I kind of learned about some of this, like the cartoony stuff, late in the game. But I loved Popeye as a kid, and it's funny that we all are these kind of Fleischer nuts. But like I was crazy about Popeye, and I still am. And and Adventure Time. When I'm drawing for Adventure Time, I'm thinking a lot about Fleischer and kind of the type of drawing those guys did. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going around the room. Who's in the center here with the question? Orange.
Oh, is that me?
Yes.
Even though I have a million questions, the reason that I came is to give this to you guys before I die of heat stroke in the back.
That's cute.
Come on up and give it a pen. Thank you. Well, let's get another question while you're giving us a pen. Thank you. You threw up your hand crazy fast. That was like lightning. Thank you.
I was just man, I'm gonna be like super close on this camera. Sorry, man. What's up? I was just wondering if there was an interesting story behind Rainicorn speaking Korean.
Okay. We can have Pen answer that. She's awesome.
I think in the pilot, he spoke well.
Yeah, and I why does Rainicorn speak Korean, and why in the pilot does she kind of speak just gobbledygook?
The good story.
Well, there is a story. There's an answer.
Is it?
Yeah, I know the answer. You told it to me. What you told me is that in the pilot, she was making sounds like you thought Korean sounded like. I don't think that's actually, that's not actually like a bad thing. I think there's like a musical nature.
I didn't say that.
maybe Pat, who married a Korean woman, said that to me. Pat McHale may have said that to me. Maybe a Korean director.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's racist.
Pat McHale, former creative director, said that. So that's why. But she's voiced by one of our former storyboard artists, Nikki Yang. She does the voices for Lady Rainicorn. And it's awesome. And it's all written.
She also does the voice for Bimo.
Oh, yeah, she's also Bimo. Trivia. Who's next? Over there.
Hi. I have a question about all the guest star voice actors that you get. I loved that Bismarcky was actually Snorlock. How do you guys get those people involved in the projects, and do you guys write the parts for them, or do they just really fit the characters really well?
We just ask them, and then see if they want to do it, and usually they do. But yeah, we write the characters first, and then think of who we'd like to play that character, which I think was what was cool about like the early Simpsons episodes. And we're like every now and then I have like a yearning to put a celebrity on the show, and that represents themselves. Like to have just like Tom Waits walk on and be like, "Hey, I'm Tom Waits." But I feel like that mucked up the Simpsons at some point. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but like, yeah. So I'm not gonna do it, I guess, even though it may be fun. I'm trying to, not do what the Simpsons did later after they went downhill just a little bit. No offense. I'm sorry, Simpsons.
Matt Groening also was a cartoonist. Was he inspirational for kind of for you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. Ask him.
Yeah. Those early seasons are so touching and heartwarming, and I didn't really understand that when I was a kid. I just watched them because they were funny, and then later you grow up and you watch them again, and you're like, wow, those are really intense. Like when Bart like kills that baby bird, and he's like crying in front of Marge, and Lisa falls in love with her substitute teacher, and it's like really intense at the end of that episode. And they're awesome, And so like I want to do stuff like that.